Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're the Rambling Reviewers, and there's been a disturbance. A disturbance in the Force. Today, December 31st, 2019, we went to go see a film, The Rise of Skywalker, and it was good. What sorcerer? Look, the last two times we've done reviews of the sequel.
Sequel trilogy. Yeah.
Today we're looking at Rise of Skywalker, but the last two times we've done reviews of the sequel trilogy. Well, they didn't go well.
No, it sucked, man.
My cousin Paul sat in on one of them, and he said, that was the angriest I've ever seen you, Matt.
Oh, wow, I forgot he said that, yeah.
Yeah, that was... Well, he said it to me later after review.
Oh, okay.
So there's
why I didn't remember.
There's a reason you don't remember it, because you weren't there.
Okay.
But,
we solved that mystery.
Yeah, I mean, some people will complain about that the movie was pandering to the fans. Yes.
In a much better way than previous films. Like, episode 7 was... Everything was recycled from something you'd seen before. It was just, so blunt and annoying that way. And then episode 8 made so little sense. I have personally contributed so much to the Head Scratchers page on TV Tropes.
And I've watched a lot of videos online that say how every military or tactical decision that they did wrong in The Last Jedi. Was wrong. But just...
and then in this one, there are things to complain about, for sure.
But the thing is, it didn't break the suspension of disbelief.
For me, I'm probably a little more critical than you. I was noticing things like, okay, why is that? And that isn't really... But I will admit, there was a lot more heart to it. The narrative through line, while sometimes jumbled and overly compressed, was still interesting. We still had our epic climax. We had cool fan things come out of the woodwork in a way that you weren't necessarily expecting. And okay, well, that's an interesting idea. I totally thought from the title that it was going to be Rey is somehow in the Skywalker family tree. And she's not, biologically. She is in the Palpatine family tree, it turns out. And I was like, a new idea. What do you know?
You know what? I still wasn't that happy about that. And that was the thing that I got spoiled on, honestly. Yeah. Someone said, okay, Rey's a Palpatine. And, okay, I have reasons why I don't like this.
Yeah.
First off, it contributes to this idea in Star Wars that, well, okay, I get that the Force is important. But there's two problems with it. One... Basically, every piece of Star Wars media focuses on the Force users. And I get that. Who doesn't want to be a space wizard with a laser sword? That is an okay idea that people are going to be like, yeah, let's do that. But I don't know. My favorite piece of Star Wars fiction is Rogue One. And that had one Force user, and he didn't interact with the main cast at all. And it was Darth Vader. And it was the story of normal people doing amazing things in the Star Wars universe without having to use the Force.
That is cool. Are you saying you like Rogue One better than the original trilogy? You said my favorite piece of Star Wars fiction. Does it rank that high?
Okay, well, we're obviously leaving out. All right. We're obviously leaving out the numbered films in this one. Okay?
Oh, okay.
But and secondly, it seems to, in a bunch of ways, they get rid of some of the people, but I almost sympathize with Kylo Ren's speech back in The Last Jedi. You let the past die, kill it if you have to. Because it kind of feels like in some ways it's not really a separate conflict, but just a bunch of people getting back together to finish their old conflict they thought was over from 30 years ago.
Yeah, which is a symptom of the writers not necessarily knowing where to go next.
Which, okay, and I admit they've pretty much cleaned the deck on this one. Basically, all the old Star Wars actors are either too old or in-universe are dead.
Or out of universe are dead. We miss you, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, and a guy who played Chewbacca and guy who played...
Oh, that's right, yeah.
R2-D2. But other than that, I thought it was a good way to end it. Kind of.
It was pretty good. It was, I mean, I suppose we probably should take this point by point, huh? Like we
Okay, let's go into the recap.
So the opening text tells us the dead speak, and Palpatine's been, I guess, shouting to the whole universe.
Hey,
everyone! Because it wasn't just Kylo that heard it. Apparently, it was like the whole universe, at least a little bit.
Which
it was unclear.
I wish we'd expanded upon that because I would have liked to hear that, but we didn't really hear
what did he
anything
say,
about that.
And to who, and how did they react, and that could have been cool.
So anyway, we see Kylo going around and murdering a bunch of natives on a planet with trees and stuff.
Yeah, one of those.
Because Kylo is a likable character that you should definitely sympathize with.
I know. I you know. As I say, we're gonna get to our complaints as we go along through this review.
So Kylo finds a weird Sith trinket and hooks it up to his starfighter because apparently ancient Sith artifacts are USB capable, I guess.
Yep.
Or he just has something that can read one of these extremely ancient and rare artifacts.
I mean, granting that he is a Sith and was deliberately looking for this specific thing, I wouldn't be too surprised if he had like converter wires purchased in advance.
Okay, maybe I'm not sure if he's actually a Sith.
He's a Force user on the dark side.
Yeah, but there's dark side There's people who use the dark side of the Force, and then there's Sith because Sith is has specific connotations.
We know at least he's obsessed with the Sith, specifically Darth Vader.
Okay, fair enough. So he goes to this planet called Exegol. Which, interesting note, at around this time in the Star Wars franchise, back in the old expanded universe, the Yuuzhan Vong first made contact with the galaxy. Okay, sort of. Okay, they made contact with the galaxy Christopher Columbus style, in that he's not really the first person to discover America. There was like a bunch of other European explorers, and we're not counting the Native Americans who were already there.
Well, obviously there were people in the Star Wars universe before the Yuuzhan Vong. We saw them on the movies.
The Vong made first contact with the galaxy, again, leaving about all the other...
From their perspective, first contact. We know what you mean.
No, not like that. Okay. The first place to officially notice the Vong was an outpost at the edge of the galaxy called Exgal 7.
Oh, okay.
Which is where I was going with that.
Okay.
Which is really long-winded, and I guess you'd probably stop listening at this point.
It's okay.
Look, okay. Anyways, Exegol is an ancient Sith world, which I like, because we're bringing the Sith back, and the Sith are cool.
Now, give me old canon for a second here. Was there a Sith homeworld established before?
Yes.
What was it called?
Korriban.
Why didn't they just use that?
I don't know. There's also... Well, part of it... Okay, there's a weird thing where it was also renamed for some reason in the new canon, so that it's exactly the same as all the Sith temples and all the Sith architecture, but they called it Moraband.
I don't know. Maybe they wanted to sound... Well, they thought it was a little too close to Coruscant? Korriban?
I don't know, dude.
Moraband? I mean, yeah, that comes with
Knights
the word
of the Old
Moraband.
Republic, you actually got to visit there, and same with the Old Republic MMORPG. But, okay.
So for some reason in this movie, they invented a different Sith world, which may or may not be the home world in this canon.
Okay, and in the expanded universe, look, I get it. You're probably, after watching the last two reviews, you're probably sick of me talking about the expanded universe, but there's things we're going to have to talk about in regards to it. The Emperor did have a citadel in, like, the unknown regions / the deep core of the galaxy, where he had a super huge fleet of starships with super weapons. Oh. Yeah, it was called BIS. Okay. And he conducted dark Sith experiments there.
Okay. Yeah, I knew vaguely about him coming back as a clone 100 times.
Yeah, they apparently copied that plot point from the EU as well, because, Adam Driver as Kylo Ren walks in and everyone just kind of ignores him, while Ian McDiarmid returns and delivers a bone-chilling speech about how he has been Snoke the whole time and every dark whisper in Kylo Ren's mind, which... We actually Kylo walks past a couple clone tanks that are filled with what look like partially completed bodies of Snoke.
Yeah.
Which...
Has Snoke died multiple times and been replaced?
You know, that makes me think so. Because, like, in the new canon, the Disney canon, one reason that Palpatine was interested in the unknown regions was that he received a call through the dark side of the Force from the unknown regions. And it's somewhat implied to be Snoke, which makes me think that Palpatine found Snoke and was like, hey, cool, you're powerful, killed him, then cloned him and puppeted the body around to use as a backup.
I guess. It wasn't entirely clear. When he said he created Snoke, does he, like, puppeting him directly, or just, trained him to be my servant and do shit for me.
Congratulations. Star Wars, I want to know more about this topic, and not just because you've made it so convoluted that we don't understand it. It's made me genuinely interested in wanting to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I saw just the title of some article that I have to go read now, but it was like, The Rise of Skywalker is the reverse of The Last Jedi. Where the Last Jedi was like, we were wondering who Snoke was, and then he's just like some guy in a golden bathrobe, and now he's dead, and like no one cares, and you're like, that was lame. And they're like, okay guys, how about for movie 9 we make that less lame? They came up with something else.
Okay, yes, and that is amazing.
Same thing with Rey's parents being nobody, and everyone was like, they're nobody, then why did you even bring this up as a plot point? And then the next movie's like, never mind, they're somebody. Aha!
Well, actually, I was kind of disappointed. Okay. Not only am I disappointed in the Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine plot point because, well, the reasons I mentioned before about the lineages and the Force and stuff, I was also disappointed in it because that was one of the things about The Last Jedi that I actually liked.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter who your parents are. What matters is what you do.
Well, they ultimately have that message, though, as she, at the very end of the movie, adopts the name Skywalker as, like, that's who she belongs to spiritually, even though she was biologically someone else's grandchild.
Right.
So the message is in there,
And I would argue differently. In the old canon, in the EU... And this is a really big point against her being the grandchild. Palpatine had a grandchild.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. But it came from a really crappy series of kids' books, like collectively known as The Glove of Darth Vader.
Oh, I read one of those.
Yeah. Basically,
the whale.
Oh my god, that was the Glove of Darth Vader itself.
All right.
Essentially, it was like a Saturday morning cartoons version of Star Wars where you really wanted to make sure everyone knew that the Empire was bad. Okay. A new guy shows up claiming to be Palpatine's son, who was a three-eyed mutant. And he and everyone else in the Empire is so hilariously over-the-top evil. Like, they greeted each other by saying, "Oh, I bid you dark greetings," and stuff. And anytime they made a suggestion, it was something straight out of the movies. And the whole plot of the first book was them looking for the glove of Darth Vader because the prophets of the dark side said the next ruler of the Empire will wield the glove of Darth Vader, which was for some reason invincible.
They totally got that out of the dinner scene from, Cloud City.
Okay, true.
Which it didn't have to be literally invincible just because he blocked 2 shots from a blaster. But
yeah. So... moving along from that, they then went into Mon Calamari where they're hunting Whalodons, which are an intelligent species because the Empire eats them because we have to incorporate environmental messages into the whole thing.
Okay.
Look, that was the plot of the first one. It was really stupid, and eventually they introduced Ken, who is Palpatine's real grandson, and also they mention Palpatine's real son, who was a three-eyed mutant and also hopelessly insane. I really don't know why they did that.
No.
But anyway, Ken was a stupid Mary Sue, and eventually it was later explained in universe that the stories of those books were tales that Leia told to her children as bedtime stories. Although some elements did remain, like some people have actually gone on and said, Darth Vader's glove is invincible, not because of those books, but just because it's a cool plot point. And the concept of the prophets of the dark side was so cool that other writers did use them. But yeah. The concept of Rey being the grandson of Palpatine. Yeah, it doesn't help the Mary Sue accusations that get thrown around towards Rey sometimes.
I suppose not. She felt, more developed overall.
She's more developed now, and I'm just saying that people have thrown around those accusations towards Rey, and it doesn't help that someone in a similar situation to what she's revealed as being in this film was also a pretty blatant example of the trope she's accused of being.
I see.
Okay, so, anyways, Palpatine goes on this big rant about how...
So, the other thing is here is that Kylo Ren shows up and he's like, "Hey, Palpatine, I'm going to kill you because I don't want anyone to threaten my power." And Palpatine's like, "Well, how about I give you a bajillion spaceships? I have like 10,000 Star Destroyers hanging out on Exegol." And it made for an amazing visual. The
Oh my God,
silhouettes of the
yes.
Star Destroyers against the sort of stormy sky, whatever. Love the lighting in this movie. Love a lot of the artistic design.
It was a little too dark for my taste, but go on.
Yeah, but at the same time, hey, Palpatine, what are you doing with another 10,000 Star Destroyers just hanging around on this one planet that no one has bothered to make use of in the 30 years since the... And then it's later revealed that they all have planet killer cannons on them, so they're all Death Stars. So, like, when did these get constructed? Did they get constructed during the original trilogy? If so, holy shit. Bring them out and blow up all the Rebel worlds. You don't need a Death Star for that. And if they were constructed afterwards, how? Palpatine doesn't have an empire full of resources to draw upon anymore. Like, I guess if he was puppeting Snoke, he had the First Order in his back pocket, and maybe a shit ton of their resources were being devoted to Exegol secretly to build up all these cannons that they weren't using for some reason, and then they built Starkiller Base, which is the size of a planet, when apparently you only need something the size of a Star Destroyer to have the same effect. What the hell?
Okay. Here's my take. Okay, I admit those are all valid points. Here's my take on it, not supported by anything thus far. But in the expanded universe, Biss similarly had a shit ton of resources poured into it because being in the unknown/deep core regions, Imperial scouts had years before gone and looked at this sort of thing and discovered, oh, here's all these cool resource deposits that we can use, and set up all this up as a fallback point in case something happened, like, say, Palpatine dying, which he did.
The thing that makes it easier, though, for the EU is there wasn't a 30-year gap before stuff started happening again. It was Endor happens, Republic gets reestablished, and within, I don't know, 5 to 10 years or something, oh, we have problems again. Because, hey, the fallback position got activated. And in this case, it was like 30, 35 years before Palpatine, like, finally did stuff.
Okay. That being said, furthermore, some technology that was developed in the expanded universe was the World Devastator technology, which could strip mine planets and in the process can serve as mobile robot factories. So using that sort of technology, I could see Palpatine's forces at that fallback position just gathering resources and building ships over those 30 years.
I guess I get you. Palpatine's a patient man in some ways. He spent the whole time in this prequel trilogy, slowly building up power.
Further, in the Last Jedi, there was that ground-based cannon that they used to blow open the door that they said was based on Death Star technology. Now, I'm not giving this an entire pass, because you still have a point. Why do you need Starkiller Base and stuff?
Yeah.
But I could see that sort of technology being advanced and more advanced and using secret Sith methods and technology to upgrade that sort of tech and make it mountable on a Star Destroyer.
Well, you can imagine if they planned these 3 movies in advance.
They did not.
They could have had, like, not Starkiller Base in the beginning and save your planet killers for the end of the trilogy, right? Mm-hmm. And, like, have hints in the meantime that something is being built up on a secret base somewhere and now we finally find it, you know?
I'm pretty sure that the director was swapped out in between the last film and this one because of how badly Last Jedi did. Yeah,
so hey, for improvement.
Okay, so that's my potential explanation for where all this stuff came from.
Okay, not the worst plot hole I've ever seen. Okay, so he's got a whole bunch of things. Though the other part to that is he was walking in to go kill Palpatine, and Palpatine's like, "Here's a big gift with all this stuff," and Kylo Ren trusts him. And he's, okay, cool, I'll take all the stuff, and doesn't actually ask what Palpatine wants in return. And then some bureaucrat is like, what does Palpatine want in return? And Kylo's like, I murder you! And he murders the bureaucrat at that meeting later. So what did Palpatine want in return? I guess he wanted Rey to show up eventually so she could kill him so he could inhabit her body, soul transfer Darth Bane style. Was he sure Kylo was going to pull that off? Or, was Kylo sure that Palpatine didn't have a secret plan to turn on him? Halfway through the movie, Palpatine says to him, like, hey, maybe I should use my fleet against you. It's like, hey, yeah, See, you have the fleet already? Why do you need Kylo here at all? Go and kill everything.
Okay, but meanwhile, on some random world, some guy says, "Hey, there's a spy in the First Order, and he gave me this information about Palpatine. He's back and stuff. And here you go, Poe and Chewbacca and Finn, and that's it actually." And they fly out in the Millennium Falcon and do some cool stuff, including hyperspace skipping. The biggest problem I have with hyperspace skipping, I mean, I get what they're trying to go for, but they always wound up on the surface of a planet and like really close to a whole bunch of other stuff that could have resulted in a holdo maneuver.
Yeah.
Like, if it was just in the middle of space or a bunch of nebula or an asteroid field, sure, that would be more okay, but it's like, you're really close each time to splattering half the galaxy.
Maybe if they had explained that, like, that's what makes it dangerous. When you do a skip, it tends to pull you towards objects, gravity and space-time and all that, as opposed to regular stuff that takes you somewhere safer. But they didn't quite have time to explain that, because we're moving along at the speed of light and faster. So that all happens, and they bring the information back, and things were going fast. I spent the first third of this movie being like, everything is progressing a little too fast. Come on, guy, all right, fine. We need... Oh, yeah, and meanwhile, Rey's been training.
Rey's been training under the direction of Leia.
Who apparently has had Force training herself, which is very plausible that you would get that.
It's something that I've been going, well, in the expanding universe. No, Leia only got the bare minimum of training, Jedi training. So her getting actual Jedi training and going through with it, that's amazing. I love it.
That's cool. Millennium Falcon shows up. There's a brief debate about, hey, Rey, why are you all here just training and stuff? Which is actually a neat little character moment. Like, yeah, people are, annoyed at this. They need you in the fight. Though it's a little... I mean, I guess if Rey had been on the Falcon, she could have been another gunner. So she could have been useful in that respect. Otherwise, the fight had nothing to do with lightsabers. What could I have done, guys? Okay, she could be a gunner.
Yeah, one problem with Rey... We'll get to that, but okay. Anyways, so Poe shows up and he's like, "I've got our worst fears are confirmed. Palpatine's back from the dead." How is that your worst fear? Like, okay, I get that you're going for, this is the worst situation that you can imagine, but like, how is someone coming back from the dead your worst fear? Okay, I get zombies, but it's just...
I mean, he was the guy that originally conquered the galaxy, so...
And everyone believes him. It's like, of course Palpatine came back from the dead.
Yeah, I would have loved if perhaps they brought him back in number 8, and you could have had the build-up to, like, this could be a possibility, and then, like, oh no, it happens, and that could be the cliffhanger at the end of the movie, right? That would make so much more sense. Instead of, by the way, that happened, and you're like, you just go with it because it's so cool to have Palpatine back, also. Could have been better handled. Could have been like Kylo Ren had been setting that up the whole time, from episode 7. He was like gathering Sith artifacts or something. I don't know. Because Vader worshipped Palpatine, so he could I like Vader, so I guess I like Palpatine too. Type of feeling,
that's fair enough. So, but they learn that he's on this planet Exegol. And no one knows where that is, except that Luke Skywalker had a journal that had encoded messages that were about, I was looking for Exegol and I never found it, but I heard that there was this data crystal, and...
Yeah, he lost the trail in the desert of Pasana. No, I don't remember that off the top of my head. I'm reading Wikipedia. And... So, okay, I guess we'll send out our main characters to Pasana while everyone else in the Resistance, I guess, is doing something else right now. Whatever. I like how they just put Rose to the side. Like, everybody hated that thing at the end of The Last Jedi, so, Rose, you're doing something else now. Bye.
Yeah.
She could have been a better developed character. Fine ideas in the background. It didn't work out.
I'm fine with Rose going away and not returning.
Yeah.
But anyways... so they arrive, and instead of landing, anywhere closer to where they think the thing is, they land 50 miles away in the middle of Burning Man.
Well, wait, no. 3PO said this is the exact coordinates, just as they're turning around the side of the hill. I'm like, oh wait, it's Burning Man. By which means to say there's a big festival going on.
Yeah, but it looks like Burning Man.
So big festival's going on. Okay, that's cool. We gotta find the trail, which is rather vague, but okay. And we end up finding is Lando Calrissian. Hey, Lando, he's here, because Leia sent him a signal and didn't just tell us, hey guys, Lando's on Pasaana, he'll say hi to you when you get there. Okay, fine, moving on. Then Rey has one of several visions, forced phone calls, essentially, with Kylo Ren.
And this is confusing, because it unveils a new force power, force teleportation, apparently.
I feel like there was some hint of this in The Last Jedi, but I have to go back and check.
Yeah, I feel like that as well, but just... Kylo Ren reaches out, grabs a necklace that Rey was given on this planet, and then he has it on the Star Destroyer, like thousands of light years away, and he hands it off to someone, and they analyze it to figure out where it comes from. I'm like, really?
We can do that now, apparently. Hey, new powers as the plot demands.
Hey, well, how come you don't just slip a grenade in her pocket or something?
Yeah.
Oh wait, he wants her alive. Never mind.
Slip a stun bolt onto her or something.
Yeah.
Slip a tracking device onto her. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
So now he knows what... So this is funny, though, because he's like, analyze this. Oh, so we found it's from that planet. Send a division to that planet. And then, like, less than a minute later, there's a stormtrooper who's like, hey, you! And it was like, how did you get here?
okay, best explanation I can give is that the First Order was already there keeping an eye on the festival to make sure that there wasn't, like, resistance sympathizers and stuff.
Yeah, but stormtroopers stand out in the crowd, and you think our main characters have been like, hey, there's a guy right there in bright white armor. Like, come on. And then Kylo Ren himself shows up, like, maybe 5 minutes later. So
yeah, okay.
Hyperspace technology has gotten really, really good.
Yeah, that's true. So there's a cool fight scenes, and they use vehicles that aren't anti-gravity speeders. They're like snowmobiles, except for dirt.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Dirtmobiles. That was cool, yeah. So they get chased by some stormtroopers, some of whom have jetpacks now. You know, somebody there I assume was like, jetpacks! Like, okay, we'll throw in some jetpacks, why not? They kick the crap out of the stormtroopers, but then they fall into this essentially quicksand stuff that leads to some caves. And then they're wandering around in the caves, and they find the body of Ochi, who was a guy that was working for Palpatine to, I guess, find Exegol? Wait, he already knew where Exegol was, didn't he? Or something?
Yeah, why is this guy here?
Why is that guy
here? Why does he have that knife? Why does he need that knife? In case he needs to...
In case he forgets where Exegol is?
Yeah, shouldn't he already know the path through to Exegol? Because, like, he should.
I feel like there's another line of dialogue in there that
would help clarify this. Why does this knife exist?
Yeah, we'll get to that as we go. Because they find the knife, and they show it to 3PO, and 3PO's like, oh yes, I have read this, and I can translate it, and I know exactly where Exegol is, but I am forbidden in my programming from telling you...
No, it's not where Exegol is, it's where this...
Oh, sorry, where the Wayfinder is. Yeah. The Wayfinder. Okay, but still. But I'm forbidden from telling you any of that. Because, apparently 3PO's got a thing that makes him not translate Sith language.
I can actually give a possible partial explanation.
Yeah.
Remember, 3PO was built in the time of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
The Old Republic that was ruled over by Palpatine, who went to great trouble to make sure that the Jedi didn't know what the fuck was going on with the Sith. So...
that would be cool if they had brought that idea up in the movie.
Yeah, you know, it could have, but that's...
all part of Palpatine's plan, or whatever.
I wouldn't say that it's part of his current plan. I was saying it's part of the plan back when the plan was to initiate Order 66 and found the Empire.
Even then, though, you think he would just make sure the translators can't translate. And not this weird double step of, oh, you can translate, you just can't talk about it. Because that only exists so that we can set up this bit later where, oh, we can't get the information out of 3PO, oh, wait, yes, we can. A more simple plan would have been like, you just don't know the language at all. The end. Done. So, okay, 3PO's got this problem going on there that kind of comes out of nowhere, and I was kind of sitting there like, All right, writers, I see you messing with this, but okay, fine. So I thought pretty.
Actually, wait. I thinking back on Star Wars lore, 3PO's C-3PO's model series is known for being clever enough to figure out new languages. So
okay, but then why is there a...
Hang on.
Right,
as shown with the Ewoks, he's able to figure it out despite having never been on Endor before, or having that language programmed into him. So if you put in something that says, okay, this is what you're supposed to do, never do this, so as not to encourage people who say find a Sith holocron or something, then I could see that working.
Maybe you think that would just turn off his eyes whenever he looks at Sith stuff, you know, like, or whatever. I don't know.
Or just prevent him from translating it. Period. Just knowing what it said, knowing that it is this language,
right? Without actually translating it. Yeah. Okay, so whatever, it's in there now. And they got this droid there too. This cone-faced droid. Dio, I think it's called eventually.
You thought it was a different robot, but it was I, Dio!
Is that from you?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, see. Another thing I don't know much about. And they get his dagger, and then Kylo Ren shows up in like a TIE Advance, essentially. And he's speeding along the ground right towards Rey. I don't know what he's planning to do, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, if he wanted to kill her, he would just shoot her. But
why do you get into melee range with a starfighter?
Right.
You do that in Gurren Lagann because the universe works on hot blood and stupidity. You do that in, what was that thing, Outlaw Star?
Yeah.
But that's because...
Grappler ships, man.
Why did they do that?
Because it's awesome. I don't know. Rule of premise. But
this is not a gunman. These are not, grappler ships.
Right. So this was, it's a really cool idea to have a ship coming at you so close, and she flips over backwards and chops off the wing and stuff. But like, you can imagine how cool it would have been if this had been established that, oh yeah, they'd been fighting in space maybe, and she took out his weapons systems. And now they're on the ground again. She crash landed and she got out of the thing. And then he's just gonna ram her because, like, damn it, I'll take you with me if I have to, type of thing. And then she has to do the cool flip.
But that doesn't fit in with his established motivations for what he wants to do with Rey.
Okay. What I'm saying is, in general, if somebody had those established motivations, then it would make sense. Oh, he can't shoot her because the guns aren't working. Oh, he wants to ram her because he feels like, damn it, this is worth it, And then she outsmarts him at the last second, type of thing. And it said it was flipping cool, and us with our nagging questions in the background.
Like, why did you do this? Why did you break a perfectly good starfighter?
Well, she broke it, so she wouldn't die, I guess.
I'm blaming him for this
why
because
did
he
break
got
it?
into melee range.
Yeah.
You don't get into melee range with a starfighter.
And his whole thing crashes and explodes, and he emerges completely unscathed because he's cool like that.
No, he's not.
Because he's plot armored like that.
Better.
Oh, and we forgot to say, Rey actually wanders off into the desert a bit because the Force tells her to, I guess.
Yeah, Rey does this a lot in this film. Basically, the whole purpose of the main cast is to say, Rey, we need to stick together. And then Rey wanders off because the Force tells her to.
Yeah.
And while she's wandering off, Chewbacca gets captured off-screen without a fight.
Yeah, that was so bizarre. It's like, oh, there's Chewbacca. Oh, wait, there's some guy that I guess they didn't notice before. A couple of guys with guns or something. And then, oh, I guess Chewbacca's in handcuffs now. Because it's not like he's the sort of dude who would rip your arms off if you win a game or something.
Yeah, the Wookiees are terrifying.
Okay, so he's being held captive, and then it appears his ship takes off. And they're like, oh, crap. And Rey grabs the ship through the Force at a distance of like half a mile or whatever the heck that is. And, okay, I know there's a video game called The Force Unleashed where they totally do that, but I never played that game, and I thought, this is a real steroid boost to your powers all of a sudden, Rey.
Oh, yeah.
Yoda slowly lifting a X-Wing out of a swamp at a distance of like 60 feet was considered really impressive. And now it's like, I'll just grab this whole damn ship.
Okay, yeah, that was the first time we'd ever seen someone do something like that. Right. So, of course it was impressive.
No, but it was also like, Luke himself never moved something of that magnitude. He was the main character. It was like, okay, this is apparently as far as it goes.
Main character who didn't know what the hell he was doing.
I'm saying, so then Kylo starts trying to push the thing the other way, and they start having this tug of war force thing, which is cool.
You get a picture that the First Order just has the most HR complaints of anyone ever. Complaints. Yeah, my boss tried to crush me with the Force in order to make a point to a scavenger. Next.
So they tug of war for a while until Rey accidentally uses Force lightning.
How do you accidentally do that? No,
Coward.
really, how do you accidentally do that?
Know.
And it's not like Force lightning was a Palpatine exclusive thing. We saw Dooku doing it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. She did it by accident. Apparently. And then it blows up the ship with Chewie on it, or so we think. And we're like, oh my god, did Chewie just die?
Kill Chewie?
Did they just kill? Is that the way he dies? Really? And then a little later, it turns out he's fine. He was on a different ship, which is cool and all. Felt a little, I don't know, like cheating. Like either if he's gonna die, give him the proper death. If he's not gonna die, don't. Why are we doing this fake out? But it wasn't terrible, But she's freaked out because she just used Force Lightning, which is known as a Sith power.
Which, yeah, okay, I can understand being freaked out about that. Because it's kind of a sign you turn to the dark side. Though, in the expanded universe, it was mentioned that you can use light side Force Lightning, it just wasn't lethal. It just hurt like frickin' hell.
The Curio curse or whatever.
Crucio.
Crucio, that's it, yeah.
Well, Cruciatus curse actually is his full name. Crucio is the spell. Okay, whatever. Moving on.
So she runs off to
again.
Fly. Well, yeah. How did this arc again? They traveled with each other, right?
No. They all fly off to Endor. No. They fly off to
Kimiji.
To pose.
Kimiji.
Yeah. Anyways, and they're going to.
So they go to someone else who can hack 3PO to make him tell them what this damn dagger says.
Wait, hang on a sec. I have to check something. Rise on Kef beer. What the hell is Kef? What?
Oh, really? That it wasn't actually Endor later on?
Okay, well...
I guess there was two... That was always kind of weird. There was the forest moon of Endor, which everyone also calls Endor. This must be one of the other moons where it landed.
Apparently.
Oh, wow. Singled mine again, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
So they've like, okay, let's go to this one guy who can hack C-3PO's memory. I will say this. When they do this long chain of events to finally, like, make stuff happen, stuff does happen by the end of the film. Yeah. As opposed to The Last Jedi, where Finn and Rose go on this whole damn side quest that ends up not only failing to help them, but actually dooming everyone they love. And like 90% of the Resistance gets killed. And like I could see a good movie about how the heroes screwed it all up and they feel really bad about it. But it wasn't presented in that tone. It was like, oh no, bad stuff happened, and not with the side effect of, holy shit, we shouldn't have gone against orders, and now everyone's going to throw us in the brig because we personally doomed the Resistance. Nah, just ignore that. We're fine. Everything's cool. We're good. All right. So this side questy thing was actually a main quest and made sense in the end. And that was helpful.
Okay, they go up to 3PO and...
They go to Kimiji and they meet, what's her name, who's like, hey, Finn, not Finn, Poe, I'm pointing a gun at your head because you totally screwed me over back when we were like spice runners together. And then he's like, oh wait, that's Rey. We could get the bounty on her. Let's fight. So they fight for like 30 seconds. And then Rey gets a lightsaber up to her. And she's like, okay, fine, we'll help you. Also, I guess we're friends now. Little quick. Little quick what's going on there. Okay.
Yeah, that went way too fast. But to be fair to the movie, yeah, it was too fast. It was too fast, but it wasn't bad.
Okay, maybe I wasn't completely wrong, but yeah, you could have spent 5 more minutes on these people. We had time to spare for that.
Anyways, so then they reveal that, oh no, this procedure to remove C-3PO from his, this information from C-3PO's memory banks will also erase the rest of his memory. To which I would like to say, why don't you copy the portion of his memory that's in the forbidden section, put it on like a disc, and then...
Yeah. I mean...
Like, isn't there a way to do this without erasing his brain?
we have no one knows how droids work. But then, yes, so he's gonna do this heroic sacrifice thing, which is a neat character moment for 3PO, who, by the way, had a lot of fun lines leading up before this. Like,
yeah, he was easily the comic relief of the group. But here's the thing. This whole scene feels emotional and resonant, and like this sacrifice is gonna matter. And that's something that honestly has been missing for a bunch of this trilogy, and it just makes it feel really worth it. And it's a great moment for C-3PO, who's always seen as prissy, but here he is willingly sacrificing his own brain in order to save the galaxy.
That is cool. And then, two things. First, the very last words of the 3PO we know are, oh wait, I just came up with something else we could do. And then they zap his brain out. And you're like, what? Don't make those his final words.
You idiots!
Give us the previous bit where he's like, I'm taking one last look at my friends. That was dramatically appropriate. What is this other thing?
What was he gonna do?
And then separately, R2-D2 restores his Katra later on, to use a Star Trek term, and he's back, and you're like, I mean, okay, that's nice and all. It does make it a Disney death. When Spock died and was brought back, there was a movie gap between them. And they spent the entire third movie to bring him back, and it felt more like they earned it.
They spent a movie where he died, then another movie to bring him back and apply his Katra to him, and then Star Trek 4, even though it was more of a comedy, that they spent getting his brain back in order so that he would feel like himself again. So he would, like...
So this was quicker than that. I mean, the Disney death trope isn't the worst thing ever. It still felt heartfelt. I like that 3PO got the moment that he did. He did something brave. Kind of for once. Or at least this is the most overtly brave thing he's ever done. So they do get him to translate the thing, and it says to go to these coordinates. By the way, because we made an earlier point about keeping the friends together while Rey goes off on her own. Before they leave, like, the Resistance camp, it's all like, Rey's, I'm going to go on my own. And then everyone else is like, no, Rey, we're coming with you. She's like, no, it's too dangerous. And they're like, we're coming with you. Friends stick together. She's like, oh, okay. And then 3PO's like, goodbye, R2, you've been my best friend, I might never see you again. And he gets on the ship, and you're like, why is R2 not coming? R2 comes on all the adventures. What is he doing? Just lounging around in this other planet?
Yeah, what the hell? Dude, have R2 do stuff. R2 is the best character.
Like, the only reason the writers had him stay behind is so we could have this gap of time of 3PO being memory wiped until eventually he gets his brain restored. Which is nice. I could see that they did that, but
also to have BB-8 do stuff.
And have BB-8 do stuff. But like, give me an excuse that R2 is doing something important and can't be interrupted.
Not staring at... The only thing we see him doing is watching over Leia, as you'll see later.
Yeah.
So they go to... Okay.
So they got the thing from Kamiji. Oh yeah, we should mention them escaping from Kamiji, because what's her name has this captain's medallion that I guess you can scan from a distance, and it gives you permission to go pretty much
they inserted it into the console.
Oh, this console.
So I think it was more like an IFF tag.
Yeah. So that's cool. She gives that to Poe, though. But, like, you were pointing a gun at him an hour ago. A little fast, but okay.
Okay, you know what? Well,
she's helping out. She's a good girl in the end.
Because Rey sensed, Chewbacca's alive on Kylo Ren's command ship, because Kylo Ren followed them here.
Because forced telephone calls.
Yeah, he does those. It's annoying. No, wait, actually, no, it was not. Yeah. Because they were followed by another spaceship.
Right. Yeah, I forgot how that all works.
Yeah, anyway, so they break into the ship and they rescue Chewbacca for all of 10 seconds. Yeah. And you're going to be shocked at this. Rey splits off from Poe and Finn because she has to do something important.
She goes to Kylo Ren's quarters, which apparently do not require any sort of key or password.
Or guard.
The guard, at least she could mind trick, but...
Right.
Anyway, so she goes
in, war droids or anything else.
Or something.
And this is like the only room in the ship where everything is white and clean looking. Every other room is like really dark.
Yeah, I don't know how he gets to sleep.
Anyway, so she starts looking at stuff, and then she receives another forced telephone call from Kylo, who says, I will find you. You are hard to find right now, but I will find you. And then they start having a force a lightsaber fight, even though they're not in the same location.
I can only assume is a metaphor for their mental battle of wills or something.
Yeah, except then they slice. Rey or Kylo slices into the pillow that was holding Darth Vader's helmet. And he's like, "Oh, that's where you are."
Right.
And cancels the phone call.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still not sure how the logistics of this scene work. I mean, no offense to it. I mean, it's kind of cool in its own way, but it does not make sense.
I'm glad at least they established phone calls in number 8, so it wasn't like completely out of the blue here, even if the teleportation is a new add-on.
So
did something with that. So he's like, "Oh, that's where you are," and he's like, "Hey, lock down the ship." And then,
So Chewbacca, Poe, and Finn are about to get executed when General Hux comes up and says, "I want to shoot them myself," and then shoots all 3 of the people who were trying to execute them, and reveals he's the spy for the Resistance. And then later he points out, "Oh, I'm not doing this because I believe in your cause. I hate you guys. I just really hate Kylo Ren more."
Which I love that they had that detail in there, because their second was like, "Really? General Hux is a good guy?" And then they explained it. No, he's not a good guy. He just hates Kylo Ren. Like, oh, well, who doesn't? Okay.
Well, okay, yeah, I can totally.
That makes more sense.
I think if you're gonna go for the sympathy angle, saying, "Oh, we just really hate Kylo Ren," I think that would justify almost anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But then, like, even though they shoot him once or twice in order to sell that he was a spy, no one believes him, and they execute him immediately.
Yeah, which is like, okay.
How did you know that?
Being kind of smart. It makes sense to me that, they were like, okay, you say they forced you to get you to the hangar, but how is it that, you didn't manage to send us an alert somehow? He would have some method of subverting that plan.
Also, those guys hate General Hux.
So they just hate General Hux. So, yeah, that's the other part of it.
Yeah, okay, so it's this new guy who apparently was an admiral back in the old Empire, is the new main dragon guy to Palpatine.
Yeah, whoever that guy was.
Yeah, whoever he was.
General somebody.
Yep. Anywho, so they escape on the Millennium Falcon, along with Rey, who you can probably guess is going to run away at some point. Again.
By the way, it's at this point that Kylo tells her, you are Palpatine's granddaughter. Because apparently Palpatine had a son. Which implies Palpatine caring about family lines in any respect. And I always interpreted Palpatine as so utterly self-absorbed that he just planned to live forever with the Force and be the ruler of the Empire and screw bloodlines and screw even having like a vice emperor who would take over after his death. Like, it's just me.
Actually, yes. That, in the Expanded Universe canon, that was exactly the case. He planned to live forever and so never established a second in command for the Empire or a chain of succession.
Right.
Any people he had... No, don't get me wrong. He had a lot of lovers.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not kidding here. There were a lot of lovers of Palpatine.
Okay.
There was...
People are choosing bad boyfriends, I'm telling you.
Triclops is one of Palpatine's. Is but one of several of Palpatine's kids. I'm not even kidding.
Okay.
The pale woman who stands beside him in the Senate in the prequel trilogy, that was another one of his lovers.
I just imagine she was an advisor or something.
Oh, she was also that.
Okay, fine.
She wouldn't have gotten that close because he doesn't give a shit about anyone unless it's of use to him. Yeah. And like if she was just some bimbo who slept with him, no, she was deathly cunning, deathly everything. She was really kind of mean and stuff.
That's the Empire way.
But she also slept with Palpatine.
Okay.
He was a ladies' man. Let's just say that and move along. Okay. And try very hard not to think of Palpatine having sex. Anyways. So they go to Calf Beer, which
sounds like a brand of beer.
Yeah, Calf Beer. When you need a good time, don't drink Calf Beer. It tastes awful.
Which we thought was Endor. I guess it's another planet or moon or something in the Endor system.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. I'm going to say that just on the basis that
they have the remains of the second Death Star there.
Some of the remains.
I'm surprised there are any remains because the thing was like nuclear explosion style explosion.
Yeah, it was.
So I thought it was more like there are particles and not pieces remaining.
Yeah, particularly not of the super laser.
Yeah. But okay, it's there. It looks cool there in the
distance.
distance.
Oh, it is definitely foreboding and ominous. And we were kind of disappointed when we found this out like a few minutes ago. Kefbir is not Endor.
Yeah, because if it had been Endor, then that means Endor has 2 biomes. Redwoods and that sort of grassy area.
Yeah.
And some ocean.
The steppes.
Yeah. No, it's Kefbir.
Okay, that's not okay. That's not okay.
Kefbir is manufactured from the hops grown locally on Kefbir.
Anyway, they conveniently crash really close to a bunch of barbarian Mongolian
Raiders. Did this thing where it's like, oh, the landing gear is broken. How broken? Oh, really broken, I guess, because they really crash land
the Millennium
into the
Falcon
thing. Now, I would like to ask why the hell they would do that. Even assuming the landing gear is completely broken,
why would you?
The Falcon can hover in place.
Okay.
Hover in place and then go down slowly.
Yeah, dude, come on, man.
Right? And then just jump the last 3 feet and don't crash the damn thing. Don't even touch the ground if you don't want to.
Yeah, and they run into, conveniently, a group of, Mongolian horse rider cavalry people who are all deserters from the First Order that we never heard about.
Which is a lovely idea, and I wish they'd had time to explore a rogue division somewhere. Maybe not part of the Resistance yet, because they haven't made contact, but, oh yeah, they rebelled last week or something, and we gotta go find them and hook up with them and make you team up or something, But okay, here they are.
Yeah, and they basically provide parts and introduce a new character whose name I can't remember, but she's a black girl who speaks with a Britishy accent kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, which I guess fits the being previously Empire thing.
Yeah, except that Finn doesn't.
Well, most recruits, let's assume, are taught to speak that way, and Finn just didn't get that training or something.
Yeah. God, there's a joke online it's text from the Text from Superheroes website between Finn and Poe. It's Finn is saying, well, how come you didn't shoot me and you knew how to trust me? Oh, well, that's because you didn't speak with a British accent, so I knew you weren't evil.
Yeah.
In fact, how did you not get shot? I talked like a Brit. I talked with a fake accent, didn't I, Governor? You should be dead.
So they're looking at the wreckage of the Death Star, second Death Star, and they're okay. The Wayfinder's on there somewhere, but it'll take years to search all that wreckage.
Well,
but thankfully, wait, there was a clue. The knife shows the way, and there's a thing that comes out of the side of the knife, and the edge of the knife fits exactly on the horizon with the jaggedy, ruins of the Death Star, and then the thing that comes out points to the exact location where the Wayfinder is. And how did anyone set this up?
No, seriously. This would require... It would have to take several years for this stuff to crash down onto Kefbir, right? Or months, or maybe the Rebel fleet just dumped it on Kefbir.
Even if it crashed the next day, somebody had to go there after the Empire has fallen.
Well, they'd have to wait a couple weeks for everything to stop being radioactive and on fire.
Okay, fine. Let's say they waited a couple of weeks. Then they went there, somebody, and was like, hey, I know where Exegol is. I'm going to write it down on this Wayfinder, and then I'm going to put it in the second Death Star for some reason, and then I'm going to build a knife that looks exactly... And you have to be standing at the right spot for that to work, too. If you were out to the left or to the right somewhere, it wouldn't work at all.
Yeah, and it assumes that the forces of erosion or just people blowing shit up for no reason.
Right, you think someone would bomb the remains of the Death Star. It's just an FU to the Empire.
Yeah. I'm surprised that this thing isn't covered with giant dicks. And no, I'm not just saying graffiti. I'm saying someone should have welded giant dicks onto this thing just to show how much the Empire fucking sucks. You're assuming that... Okay, let's assume that there isn't a giant penis obscuring what used to be the wreckage. And let's also assume that wind and weather have had no effect on this wreckage for 30 years.
30 years. I mean, even if you had made the knife just last week for some reason... Why did he do that? Anyone who did this would have had to have already known where the thing was, or where Exegol was. He deliberately set a trail of clues so our heroes could follow it.
You know what? Okay, you ever read the Da Vinci Code?
Yeah.
This one guy hid an ancient artifact, and okay, someone else used a code to describe where it is. You want to know where it is? The artifact? It's in a bank.
Yeah.
They kept it in a bank vault so that no one would find it there unless they had the passcode. How much easier would it have been for Palpy to go, and next, put my artifact inside of the decaying wreckage of the second Death Star using this knife that has this exact edge. Sir, I mean no offense. It would probably be cheaper just to get the first bank of Coruscant to just hold open a safety deposit box.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever.
The one way this could have made a little more sense is if this had been the Wayfinder had been something that was on the Death Star in the first place because it belonged to Palpatine.
Yeah,
and then crashed there unintentionally, and then we find it via picking up a signal or something that it's just auto broadcasting after like a find me signal that it does if no one touches it for 30 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And then, it was someone had to deliberately put it there and then deliberately make this knife and then it's just so silly. Okay.
And then carve it with a Sith language that translator droids can't help you with.
Right, just assuming that someone will have the correct translator droid that can do things correctly, whatever.
Okay, and then, so Rey's climbing through the hundreds of miles of Death Star to get to the Wayfinder.
Which cool thing, by the way, because she is a scavenger, as established in Episode 7.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Rey is doing a Rey thing. This act completely fits. Okay, fine.
So they get into the throne room, and I'm going to guess this is a different throne room.
Oh, really?
Because the original throne room, from this perspective, would be upside down or just gone because the original throne room was at the North Pole of the Death Star. So she'd have to cover 100 miles or something of crawling through wreckage. Right. And somehow I don't think that she took 100, weeks to do this.
Well, wait, who's to say that the North section just separated from the rest of the sections and fell down to the ground level?
Well, if it did that...
comparatively ground level.
Okay, I guess then we get back to the maker of the knife and how the hell did he know what to do it here?
He crawled through hundreds of miles. Or you know what? He had an anti-gravity thing because he was smart and just sailed over the ocean, which by the way, Rey does this badass sailing thing because,
everyone else is going, oh, we need to fix the Falcon because we were idiots and crashed it.
Right.
We'll just fix it up and we'll just fly out over. And Rey's like, no, there's no time. Which Poe just looks at her and he's like, we also don't have a choice, man.
Which there is a... Oh, yeah. The reason there's no time is in 16 hours... This whole thing took place in 16 hours. All free worlds will come under assault at the same time.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I sincerely forgot. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense why she
should have mentioned it a second time. Also, all free worlds at the same time... obviously, yes, it's nice to attack several enemy targets at once. But that feels... like we slipped out of meaningful tactics and into just, and everyone is doomed because the writer said so.
Are you kidding me? That makes more sense than building a Starkiller base or any one of a number of super weapons Palpy built back in the extended universe or in canon. He built 2 Death Stars. Admiral Thrawn himself was like, do you have any idea how much shit we could build with the resources you're dumping into the Death Star? Both in the extended universe and when he showed up in Star Wars Rebels. Yeah. He was like, no, this is really stupid, guys. Stop doing this. Look, I have this perfectly viable TIE fighter project that's going to win us the war and will not be the size of a planet.
Or a small moon, anyway.
Close enough, but... Seriously, guys, it makes so much more sense to send out all of these ships, which, by the way...
Right, but these ships are magically mini Death Stars, is the part that's...
Well, I didn't know that at the time, which is why I whispered to you, this makes no sense. It's a Palpatine plan, but it's not ridiculously overcompensating for the size of his penis.
Okay,
You see those dicks drawn on the side of the Death Star? My penis is... They're almost the size of my dark side wang.
No.
Okay.
So, what were we saying?
It would explain why he's a ladies' man.
What were we saying?
Okay. I'm assuming you're saying not about Palpatine's penis.
No. She was... Oh, yeah. She goes to the Death Star there thing. Oh, yeah, because I was going to mention a moment ago, the reason, writer style, why the Millennium Falcon had to crash was to make Rey do a cool... sailing scene, because otherwise, you would just hover on over to the spot she needs to go, and she would just that out on a ladder or something. Never mind. No, we crashed the Falcon. Just, we're terrible at what we do. So she goes and gets to the throne room, which is cool and creepy to see the throne room again.
Yeah.
And then she finds the Wayfinder, where some guy apparently put it there for some reason.
Some guy has a anti-gravity pad, so it's hovering in the middle of all these wreckage, and has power after God knows how many years of not working.
Yeah. Good for you,
in the middle of nothing.
He must have gotten some power converters from Tashi.
And for some reason, we have a Cave of the Dark Side thing where we see Rey wielding a double-bladed lightsaber and being like, "Oh, I'm a Sith now."
I mean, at this point, she knows she's a Palpatine descendant, so I could imagine that as being essentially a waking nightmare, force-powered nightmare.
Oh, good. So our protagonist is, seeing things.
Yes.
Oh shit, that's literally that's literally what she's been doing the whole movie, and I'm just now realizing that's a problem. So
she overcomes it.
So okay, she stumbles out of the room with the Wayfinder, and
Kylo Ren shows up.
Yeah, how the hell did you get here without being super dramatic about it and alerting everyone to your presence? In fact, how did he hide himself from her force powers?
Yeah.
I mean, because pretty much any time a dark sider or a light sider is around another one, it's like, I sense something.
Yeah. You could easily establish a force cloak power, for lack of a better word, but no one established that.
You know what? Fine. I'll say that Rey is just really distracted by what's going on. And having climbed up 100 miles of conduit.
Yeah. But then, how does... I mean, Kylo mentions to Palpatine in an earlier conference call that, I know where she's going. Does he already know where the other Wayfinder is? I guess he must know that, right?
I guess.
Palpatine told him, yeah, I sent this other Wayfinder over there. I'm trying to make the plot line where, oh yeah, Palpatine wanted Rey to go on this convoluted quest because that would turn her evil or something, but really it wouldn't.
No, I personally think that Palpatine wanted her dead because she could be a threat, and then later he changed the plan once that was no longer viable. Because honestly, Palpatine was the chess master. You think he had one single plan that led purely to the Jedi's extinction? No, he took advantage of every opportunity that came for it and adjusted his plans accordingly.
Right. So Rey starts fighting Kylo, and Kylo is dodging her attacks and not touching it. And I was like, oh, it's a force projection like we did in the last movie.
Yes, he's even using some of those duck underneath the saber things that Luke did.
And then never mind, he's totally here in the flesh. I guess that was supposed to fake us out. So okay, they fight. And Finn shows up, and they get distanced from Finn, and he can't do much about it.
What was Finn going to do? Kylo's already established that he's capable of choking people from a long distance away. Don't worry, Rey. We're here to help. Oh, I guess Finn's dead.
Yeah,
along with
heroic stupidity and all that. It'd be kind of cool if he just sniped out Kylo from 1,000 yards away.
Yeah, dude.
One of the sniper.
No,
hey,
get HK-47 in here. Have him kill Kylo. Yeah. That would be amazing. I mean, he was a droid with no force powers, and yet he specialized in killing Jedi. Nice. It was great.
So they fight, and Rey...
No, Leia uses her force power. Leia suddenly starts stumbling, and Masameda starts going, oh, Leia's going to have to use all her powers to get through to Ben. Why? Why would you want to get through to Ben? Ben is awful.
I guess there is good in him. We could save him, all that stuff.
Yeah, but...
Which, granted, wasn't super well developed in Return of the Jedi, but it was such a good movie, otherwise you didn't even notice.
Yeah, but he's awful.
Yeah.
He killed your husband.
Yeah.
He played a part in killing your brother.
Yeah.
Literally every member of your family is dead. Will be dead by the end of this film because of him.
Yeah, so...
Including him!
Including him. It's if you wanted to suss out that he was redeemable, okay, they have a couple of references during the phone calls where basically Rey senses the good in him or senses the inner conflict, and okay, so there's something in there, but man, you could have written something much more interesting about the nature of temptation, and we could have seen signs of Kylo having a good side, sparing some civilians at some point for some reason, and then we could play on that. And instead it's he's just been murdering people all over the place.
Yeah, he really...
For 3 movies.
Like, at least... Okay, not to make it another Darth Vader is better in every way than Kylo thing, debate. Because there is no debate, because Darth Vader is better in every way than Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah.
But Darth Vader at least had class, and he had this smoothness. And, like, when he unleashed his anger, you knew he was angry because Vader did not lose his cool. Even when he was choking people, he was like, yeah, I'm Darth Vader, and I don't lose control.
Yeah, that was always...
Like, okay, one of the few times I remember him really letting his anger loose in the main films was when he was demanding where the plans were. And I can buy him being pissed, considering that he's probably had a really long day at that point chasing the Rebel blockade runner.
Well, even then, like, he doesn't flip out Kylo style and smash some random computer console. He keeps his focus on the one dude he's choking until he's done choking him, and then he yells at people to go find some plans.
And doesn't yell or scream, he just says things and people get it done because he's Vader. Yeah. He had the force of presence, not just force of force. Where were we again? Kylo was awful. Anyways.
So Kylo, so she reaches out to Kylo to, like, basically tell him stop being evil.
No, he reaches out, Ben, and that's it, and it distracts him long enough. Rey's able to stab him through the stomach with his own lightsaber.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, he's gonna die. Oh, wait, she's healing him. Okay.
Why did you heal him?
We're doing the Star Wars redemption thing. You know how it goes. Honestly, if I had been in charge of a sequel trilogy, I would have liked to make a point about how not everyone offered a shot at redemption will take it. I would have had someone, like, offered it, and then they just spurn it, and it stays spurned. And, like, Kylo spurns it in Episode 7, but then he ends up accepting it in Episode 9. And he
spurns it in Episode 7. He spurns it in Episode 8.
I guess they did in 8.
Okay, so... And then Rey heals him and, like, reveals, oh, I wasn't going to accept your Kylo's hand. I was going to accept Ben's hand.
In terms of partnership or all that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, so moving right... Oh, and that proves so much exertion to speak to him for, like, 3 seconds that Leia just dies.
Leia dies.
Yeah, Leia dies, and it's like... Okay, you provided a momentary distraction so that Rey could immediately undo your sacrifice.
Okay, by the way, I'm just reading this now. Carrie Fisher appears through the use of repurposed, unreleased footage from The Force Awakens. Wow, so they must have molded conversations around things that she was supposed to say in number 7, which is interesting.
Okay, that is...
But I'm glad they did it as well as they did. Because I was seeing the Leia scenes, it was like, how did they... Either this is a really good digital duplicate, or they filmed stuff before she died. I'm glad to say that digital technology has not gotten quite that far. Because it's kind of creepy how far the technology goes.
Yeah, anyways, moving right along. So then she steals his fighter and runs away from everyone again.
Yeah, because she's going to go to...
No. She goes to the island Luke was on in, like, the last 2 movies.
In order to stay there forever and not turn evil.
Because she had a vision of herself sitting on the throne of the Sith.
Did we even see that vision, or did she just talk about it?
I don't remember seeing
her just talking about
it. Or if it did, it might have been one of those flash visions, you know, where...
Hey, what was Finn gonna say to Finn was gonna say to Rey. Yeah. We never got that, did we?
No, we didn't. Maybe
like
stop running away, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, jeez.
Well, that's all she does to her friends.
I know.
Look, I get it. I shouldn't be as mad, but honestly, it just gets annoying after the 5th time she does it. And everyone's like, we need to stick together as friends. She's just like, I'm not part of this.
Right. The other thing, though, is she's running to that planet from number 8 because she feels like she might be tempted by the dark side. Except 3 minutes ago, when she was tempted by the dark side... she actually healed her enemy and showed him mercy. Which would seem to be evidence that, no, you can resist the dark side. It's going to be fine. But she takes it the opposite way, I guess, because of the vision or something.
And then she goes up to Luke, and Luke's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Why are you... You can totally go defeat Palpatine. I was wrong to come hide here on this planet. At which point, Rey should have said... Well, why didn't you tell me that 5 minutes ago before I set fire to the only spaceship on the planet?
Right.
Which Luke should have gone, oh, shit!
Right. There's another way in which 9 is the opposite of 8. People are like, why the hell was Luke just been hiding out on this island doing nothing? That's stupid. Now we get Luke himself being like, hiding out on this island is stupid. Now, you were right, audience. Never mind. And yeah, like, this could have been a really interesting, passionate moment if, say, Rey had done something where she really felt herself slipping to the dark side, found herself, she did something cruel, or attempted to do something cruel, and then realized a moment later, oh God, what have I done or attempted to do, right? And then when I cannot trust myself anymore, I have to go, and she leaves behind all her friends, and she's like crying, and she goes to that lonely island in the middle of nowhere. That could have been more passionate. Instead it was, Rey defeats her enemy and shows him mercy and is otherwise not tempted at all, but is still worried for some reason. Okay, it was still fun to see Luke again, and it was fun to see his X-Wing, Red 5, comes up out of the ocean, which I totally called before it happened.
Yeah, and it was like, Luke is in the position, Luke is a Force Ghost, and he's doing the Yoda thing.
Yeah, with the same music, yeah, you know. So that's, and of course it still works after 30 years, we're fine.
30 years and no fuel.
I mean, I guess, okay, he hadn't been hiding out there the whole 30-year gap. Maybe it's been 1 year, but still.
Okay, just dunk anything in the ocean for more than a year, and let's see how well it works.
Yeah. I guess we established it as being mostly waterproof from the swamp thing on Dagobah.
Okay, that's fair.
It's true. Okay.
That's fair. Then Luke gives her Leia's lightsaber.
Because she had one. And this part, they did use digital doubles, which looked really good, but mostly because they were in darkness and not normal lighting.
Yeah, but apparently, kind of a weird bit of dialogue there where Luke goes, Leia had a vision that if she continued on this path, then she would see her son dead. So she wanted you to be on this path. So we leaned over to each other and was like, so we can see her son dead.
Yeah, like...
Internally, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. Kylo is awful.
Yeah, so then she gets on the ship and flies over to the Resistance, wherever they're hanging out, I can barely keep track of it, and sends them, like, the coordinates without actually getting on the phone and being like, hi, by the way, it's Rey, let me explain everything. And flies ahead of them. I think you should fly with the fleet. I think that would be better protection or something.
Meanwhile, Finn and Poe, pretty good moment here. Finn and Poe see each other, and it turns out that because Dio came from that ship that was working for Palpatine,
Ochi, I think.
Dio knows how to get through the thing. Through the whatever in order to get to Exegol.
Hyperspace.
Exegol. Which I just realized makes the entire scene, the entire half of the movie after they get that droid, completely pointless.
Yeah, but at least that was, like, from the character's perspective, it makes sense what they were doing.
Okay, yes.
And it makes sense, too. I'm glad they established that there's just a little opening on with Dio where Rage, like, tries to pet him, essentially, and he's like, no thank you, and she says, oh, apparently he's been mistreated. So, okay, he would be mistreated by a bad guy, he belonged to a bad guy, makes sense. Also, then makes sense, it would take for him a while for him to pipe up and be like, hey guys, I would like to do something helpful for you. Because he doesn't know if these people are bad people, too. Takes him a while.
That makes sense.
So,
but just from a purely logical point of view, it's like, oh, as soon as you find this robot, you know how to get through the hyperspace thing.
Yeah.
So they give a big speech about how as long as the First Order wins by making you feel like you're alone. So we're going to call out to the rest of the galaxy to get their help. That was a fire truck.
It was interesting timing.
And which I can see everyone going...
Like, they did... Again, why number 9 is the reverse of number 8 in every way. At the end of number 8, they call out to the whole galaxy with this cool transmitter that apparently exists on Crate, and the entire galaxy refuses the call.
And at some point in this, that planet they were on with the cool friend of
Kimiji? Yeah.
Kimiji? Yeah, that gets blown up as it's revealed that they have the Death Star weapons-ish thing.
Yeah. Wait, where was that ship the rest of the movie?
Where was that ship?
I guess that one went to Exegol, that was the command ship. Because it could have gone up and blown up all the other planets during the Exegol battle.
Yeah, it could have.
Like, why did you set it up so exactly one planet killer ship went off into regular space and literally all the other ones were in this one place and not just like, let's say 5 of them. We're wandering the galaxy and just killing all your
also,
enemies.
the destruction of, like, what was it, Kijimi?
Kijimi, yeah.
It was kind of lame.
I mean, because we didn't know much about Kijimi.
No. I'm not talking about, from a plot or story perspective, the destruction was kind of lame. From the visual, I mean, I'm comparing it to the destruction of Alderaan, and I thought that looked amazing. Even, like, all these years later, and here it just kind of breaks up, and the explosion
I think they were maybe trying to sell it as these cannons are slightly less powerful than Death Star lasers, to make it, like, slightly more plausible why Death Stars exist, because they wanted to be, okay, instead of it blows up nuclear style, it takes 30 seconds. Oh no, what a tactical disadvantage. What if they do shit in 30 seconds?
Yeah, So Lando's job is to go out and get everyone else in the galaxy to get off their asses and help us out.
Apparently Lando is just really good at giving speeches. Like, we never knew. Because he eventually gets everyone in the galaxy to show up.
Dude, he managed to convince someone to offer up Cloud City in a game of Sabacc.
That's true. No, he probably challenged the whole galaxy in a game of Sabacc. If you lose, you have to attack Exegol.
He won against everyone in the galaxy.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Guy's a genius.
Okay, for round 2, we're getting the Kaminoans to clone a bunch of pro gamblers. They will learn every strategy, so we don't have to do this shit again. Okay, so
but Rey shows up at Exegol first, and they just let her in. I guess because Palpatine said so.
Yeah.
So she shows up at Palpatine's thing, and Palpatine's doing this GLaDOS thing. He's got this huge, like, metal arm thing that holds him up, and it's cool.
Yeah.
The whole artistic design of that place was awesome.
It's way too... I could barely tell what was going on in some places. And it was like a strobe light was going on.
Okay, I'll grant you that could annoy some people, but, like, it looked very dark and creepy and ominous and everything that a Sith place should look like.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it needs more red.
Okay, red would help at some point.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, let me explain this to you. I don't know why he explains it to her. It'd be so much better for him not to explain it.
That's kind of Palpatine's thing, tricking people into making a deal with the devil and stuff. And he almost, he succeeded with Darth Vader, and he convinced people to make him Emperor of the Galaxy. He managed to convince both sides of a war that he was their leader, and he was totally on their side. Yeah. He managed to convince Anakin Skywalker to fall to the dark side.
Right.
Okay, admittedly not that hard, but, like, he's really good at talking to people and getting them to do whatever the hell he wants. He got Luke to go into a berserk rampage, and that was when he knew Luke was trying to be a Jedi and be a good person.
Yes. I'll grant you. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's true that in episode 6, he does very clearly strike me down with all your hatred and your journey to the dark side will be complete. He's very much card-carrying villain right there. It just occurred to me, though, that logically, if what you need is for Rey to kill you, don't tell her what will happen at that point. Just be like, oh no, don't kill me! And then she kills him, and then, aha, I've tricked you! And then his spirit inhabits her body and does all that Sith stuff.
Yeah, admittedly, that was a bit of a flaw.
That would be, okay, and admittedly, ever since Death Star 1, Palpatine has had stupid flaws in his otherwise amazingly giant plans.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's his thing. So he's like, yeah, kill me, and I will inhabit you, and it's very much hinting at a Darth Bane scenario thing without using the name of Darth Bane.
Okay, for those who don't know, in the extended universe, there was, in an attempt to explain the rule of 2,
in which there can only ever be 2 Sith at one time,
a master and an apprentice, there was, before, at one point, there was tons and tons and tons of Sith. In fact, there was a whole Sith Empire. There were several Sith Empires, actually, which you can learn about more if you played Knights of the Old Republic or the Old Republic. Here's the thing, though. Darth Bane got trained to become one of these Sith, and he realized that Sith were kind of stupid. No, I'm serious. They had this thing where they believed that the strongest should survive. But what this meant was that every Sith struggled against one another and fought each other, and eventually it led to the downfall of the Republic. Downfall of themselves, Well, to quote SF Debris, the only way that the Empire would end at its current rate would be one Sith sitting on the throne of the Empire, surrounded by 1,000 Republic troopers, pointing guns at him. So he saw pretty much that was what was going to happen. So he tricked all of the Jedi, a lot of the Jedi, and all of the Sith of his era to basically kill themselves. In exchange, he would take one apprentice at a time.
You tricked the Jedi into killing themselves?
Well, it wasn't that hard. They were in a war at the time.
That's no excuse. How many people in a war go off and kill themselves? Normally you kill the other guy.
Okay, sorry. He tricked the Sith into killing themselves in an attempt to kill the Jedi by using something called the Mind Bomb, which sucks the Force energy out of stuff and turns it into an explosive.
Okay, so he tricked them and then they died, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, but he also...
tricked them into believing that suicide was a smart idea.
Well, he might have. It's been a while since I read those books. Anyways, further in his education, he learned that it is possible to use the Force to send your soul into another body and take it over, thus basically becoming immortal. And it's implied that he did this a lot, and that the entirety of the Rule of Two was nothing but Darth Bane. At least that's the implication.
So yeah, he just kind of would train up an apprentice for the purpose of possessing them and extending his lifespan.
Yeah. That being said, I'm not 100% sure how that continued into the modern era. Now, I would like to say that Palpy's habit of transferring into clone bodies implies that he's Darth Bane in secret.
Or he just knows a similar technique.
But, well, I'm trying to go for the Darth Bane theory on why he knows this. The problem with that theory is that there is canon books and stuff that say that he killed his master before such transference could take place. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I should mention when I say Darth Bane scenario, he doesn't say, I am the Sith from before, like a singular Sith. He says, I am all the Sith. So it's more of a several souls in one body. I'm not sure how it gets decided who's on the top dog in that thing. Or
maybe it's just a metaphor, like he is the embodiment of all Sith in the galaxy. Just as a
but if it was just a metaphor, I don't think Palpatine would agree to this. He's not supposed to be religious about it. He's not supposed to be the guy who's like, yes, this is the way of things. He's supposed to be the guy who wants power for himself, damn it, and will totally break all the rules. Even the Sith rules, I like to imagine, if it suits his purposes.
Fair.
So I would have to think of it as he honestly thinks, oh yeah, Rey kills me, and then my soul goes into Rey, and then Palpatine becomes a girl, I guess, which is not the best way to transition. There's healthier method anyway.
Hey, Darth Bane's first transition was from male to female.
Oh, there you go. But speaking of LGBT, before I forget, there's a shot of two women kissing and the celebration at the end.
It is in one shot It is one shot.
Still, we saw it. It was in the front center of the frame. It was like, oh, that's it there. That's a little update. Okay.
Yep, that's
good for them. Anyway,
so they launch the attack, and it doesn't go well, which you might expect from 30 starfighters fighting against 1,000 Star Destroyers and their attendant starfighters.
Yeah, the first they got to destroy this tower on the ground, which apparently there's only one of those for 10,000 Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Like, the guy does say, by the way, earlier on, a Navy Admiral, whatever guy says, oh, the forces at Exegol increase our power by 10,000 times. That's where I'm getting this number. So if they have at least one Star Destroyer, there are 10,000 of them on Exegol.
Well, I'm just
maybe he was exaggerating.
I'm saying exaggeration,
but it looks like there's at least dozens and dozens of them on screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we have that one tower they're gonna attack. And oh wait, no, we need to attack this other thing.
First Order was smart about this. They were like, oh, shut that tower down and change it to the tower that's on our ship that's covered in guns,
which is cool. And then they have one of the coolest ideas in this whole movie, in which they do their ground attack on the hull of the Star Destroyer. And then the guy's like, jam the speeders. They're not using speeders. What? And then they're doing a cavalry charge.
With, horse animal things.
On top of... That's a cool idea.
Look, you wouldn't expect it.
No. So that was one of those things. Is like, oh, this feels fresh. This feels like new stuff I never saw in a previous Star Wars film. Okay, and then there were people running around, not always taking cover which I feel like you should be taking cover a little bit more. Whatever.
Yeah, I normally say, what cover on the deck of a starship, but then again, it's the deck of a starship.
There's all those voxels everywhere, like man-sized voxels.
Yeah. Haven't you played Mass Effect? Waist-high cover is everywhere.
Yeah. It's the nature of the galaxy.
Yeah. Although, interestingly enough, in the Clone Wars Tartakovsky series, the traditionally animated one, there was a scene where in the Battle of Coruscant where I think Ki-Adi-Mundi or one of the other Jedi Masters is on a Republic ship and it gets damaged, and they're like, "Sir, we're damaged. We're drifting in space. What do we do?" "Time to get a new ship." So he takes all of the clone troopers with him. They jump to a Confederate ship and start taking it over by jumping through space. And it was amazing.
I think it had to be at really damn close range, but that's
if you ever
Starship combat always works that way somehow.
Well, yeah. The way they explain it, like, I've heard it explained that ECM is just so thick and heavy during the whole thing. Electronic countermeasures.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that they have to be that close, but that's still kind of silly.
Minovsky particles or whatever, and borrow something from Gundam.
Yep. So, anyways, meanwhile, there's a fight going on up there, and for some reason, the fighter pilots are starting to lose hope, because, for some reason, attacking like 80 billion times your number with single-person fighter craft was really stupid.
Yeah,
it's like, oh!
They don't have any capital ships. Like, at the Endor, they had some capital ships.
I don't even know what they're planning to do with the capital ships, since only the fighter craft would be able to get inside the Death Star.
The capital ships just shot at the Star Destroyers, I thought.
Yeah, but they didn't know the Star Destroyers were going to be there. They were like, oh, there's enemy ships in sector whatever. It's a trap!
I guess there was backup in case there was maybe one Star Destroyer, and it turned out to be more than they were expecting.
Yeah. So, moving along then Poe starts having an emotional breakdown that, oh no, my very stupid plan is ending up failing. Yeah. Then, like, as he's apologizing to everyone over the radio, no doubt lowering morale, or distracting people who really need to focus on shooting down the TIE fighters, right. Lando says, "Don't worry, we're here!" And he brings in, like, a ridiculously huge number of ships, and he says, "Oh, there's no warships, it's just people, sir." And it's like, oh, fuck you. That's so ham-handed way of saying that. I honestly could see, like, several things that I know for a fact are warship classes.
Well, exactly what he said was, they don't have a navy. It's just people. So you can mean, like, they're not very well organized like a navy. It's just a lot of people with guns.
Hey, what happened to the New Republic Navy that was supposedly destroyed in the first one? Because you can't tell me that all of the New Republic Navy was stationed in one star system.
Yeah, apparently they were. They were the dumbest. Everything's dumb. I don't know.
So my new headcanon is that this is the remains of the New Republic Navy and plus a few private resistance organizations. That is the only way this makes sense to me, that they have that many ships.
Yeah, so everyone comes in, this big hope spot moment thing. At least they had established before this theme of the Empire wins by making you think you're alone.
First Order. But
the First Order. So, like, okay, so having established that, now there's a thematic link, which makes this, like, way easier to tolerate than if it were completely unestablished beforehand, like other movies have done.
Meanwhile, Finn and former stormtrooper girl, who I can't remember the name of, and also don't care much, are using one of the Star Destroyer's guns on the surface, which apparently has, like, controls to allow a human to operate these from outside the ship to blow up the bridge. Why would you have that?
Why does the thing have a turning radius large enough that it can point to the bridge? I think you would mechanically set that up so it physically cannot point in that direction.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, maybe they like hacked it or something. They messed with the controls. You know,
they put in like physical limits to it, like so. Yeah. So it's like trying to turn the sink around. It's like trying to turn the toilet around. You know, I mean, you could try hacking it all you want. You're just gonna break the damn thing.
But it was cool. There was even a moment where it's like, it looks like maybe Finn's gonna die. And then Rose is like, oh no, it looks like Finn's gonna die. And then Finn's like, go, save yourself, and I'll just handle things here. And then she goes and saves herself. And it's, again, the exact opposite of number 8, because everyone hated that scene where she rushes in to save him on the basis of this romance that was never fully developed. And in the process of saving him, this is the worst part of it, she dooms everyone else. Like, he was about to blow up the cannon to save everybody, and then, like, nope, you interrupted that, Rose. Now we're all doomed. So, yeah, there's totally a shout out to people who hated that previous scene.
Meanwhile, Kylo Ren is busy tripping balls on Ponfar or whatever. It's not Ponfar, that's the Vulcan mating ritual.
Wait, what was he doing though?
He was at the Death Star wreckage, where
and he talked to his Ghost of Han Solo, or memory
Ghost
of Han Solo.
I would say memory on the basis of Force. I don't want to trivialize Force ghosts more than they kind of already are. Anyways,
so he decides to be a good guy now and race off to.
One scene that I loved was Kylo said, "Oh, I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this," which I say should have been the point which Han takes 3 steps backwards.
Because that's what he said just before he murdered his dad.
Yeah, and then he chucks his lightsaber into the ocean, which you could have used that, by the way. So what was your plan? To go in and get...
Yeah, just fisticuffs, man.
I'm going to punch Palpatine to death.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So he goes to Exegol, and then they do the off-screen teleportation force thingy, and
Rey gives him her saber, or one of her 2 sabers, because the other one's Leia's, however that works.
Yeah.
He gets one of them, so he can, like, deal with these guards that are there. Oh, cool, they're guards now, I guess.
And then Palpatine reels back and lets his guards try to take care of Rey, because she's going to kill him, even though that was what was already about to happen. What?
Was she about to kill him? No, she decided not to. That's why she gives the lightsaber.
Right, but he thought she was about to kill him.
Right.
So when she pulls out the lightsaber again, why does he pull back and have his guards try to kill her?
Hey, yeah. There's no. He should try to hug her. Honestly, he should try to get killed on accident while she's swinging at somebody else. Like, I think that would still count.
Yeah. But anyways, we can't do that, so we have Kylo kill a bunch of the Knights of Ren, which, he shows remarkably no remorse for the people he specifically trained to be Jedi hunters and killers. He just kind of slaughters them all.
Also, this whole idea, and granted, Star Wars has always been like this. It's really good at having things both ways. Where at the Battle of Endor, for instance, on the one hand, war is awesome, and we have all these fighter pilots flying around and killing bad guys, and it's super cool, and there's no reason to think there's any moral gray area. And at the exact same moment, in the throne room, no, violence is not the answer. No, you have to redeem people and all this stuff. You have to put your lightsaber away, Luke. Which is like, show mercy to family members, but no one else, I think, is the message of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a little
wait a
minute.
Like, what measure is a mook? That old trope.
So
she can kill everyone else in the room, just not Palpatine.
Rey and Ben stand side by side, wielding blue lightsabers to fight against Palpatine.
Which was a cool moment, it's true.
Which was cool for almost 3 seconds before Palpatine revealed, dude, I was the Sith Lord that destroyed the entire Jedi Order, and I controlled a galaxy with my thoughts. Then he starts choke slamming them into the ground, and with the Force, and it's amazing. And then he starts ripping the life force out of them with his mind,
and just starts healing him and really supercharging him, because then he lightning zaps the entire fleet. Forgot to mention that part.
Yeah, which I don't know. I kind of not super okay with, because the Thrawn trilogy implied that one of the reasons why the Battle of Endor went so badly after the Emperor died was that the Emperor was practicing an art known as battle meditation to make his forces more effective and other forces less effective. And up until this point, I believe that the Emperor was subtly influencing the good guys to make poor decisions and to fall to despair easier, because that was kind of how the battle was going. Even when the reinforcements showed up, I could see, okay, so that kind of broke through Palpatine's subtle mind control a bit. But here, no, he's not doing battle meditation. He's just shooting lightning into the air and zapping everyone.
It's an amazing visual.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing visual.
And yeah, he was using 2 other Force users as batteries, I guess. So it's not terrible. It was cool in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So then Ben gets up and he's like, "No, I will stop you." Palpatine just bitch slaps him aside with the Force. It's great.
Yeah.
He flings him into a pit.
Yeah.
And then the other girl, Rey.
Yeah.
Rey starts standing up and he's like, "No, now I have to turn all this lightning that destroyed an entire fleet on your one lightsaber." Even disregarding the fact that the last time you did that, you wound up looking like a wrinkly prune. Yeah, remember Mace Windu? It's actually a really cool scene where Rey is staring at the sky, seeing the fleet being destroyed, and then looking out into space, and she starts hearing all of these Jedi from the prequel and the original trilogy.
And Mace Windu and whoever else.
Yeah, everyone else is going like, "Dude, you can do this. Stand up. We're with you." Which all I could think of was, hey, wait, didn't Darth and droids do this exact plot line with Luke?
Oh, did they? Jeez,
Yes.
I forgot.
All the Jedi were literally with them through the Metachlorians.
That's fun.
Which, I'm like, oh, okay. Whatever.
So it's like, yeah, pull out inspiration out of your back pocket, but alright, this is, again, been a fun enough movie, interestingly enough, visuals, and they at least had a little reference to the first time we saw her training in this movie, this idea of connecting with all the other Jedi. So you put in those little details, and then things can add up and feel much more acceptable than they would.
So she pulls out 2 lightsabers and starts deflecting Palpy's lightning back at him, and he starts to disintegrate until finally, like, he explodes, and the entire throne room explodes, and the throne explodes, and all of the people in his weird choir that we haven't mentioned, they start getting crushed by falling rubble. And then Rey just topples over dead. Like,
I would like to point this out, too. Apparently, if you kill Palpatine with a lightsaber, that's evil and turns you to the dark side, and by the way, his soul goes into your body. But if you kill him by reflecting lightning in his face, now it's okay. It's morally okay, it's force-wise okay, and it will not get you infected. So what they're really saying is, choose your method of murder properly. That's the message here.
So then Ben crawls out of the hole in the ground that he was forced into.
Who designed? What architect put a hole in the ground right there? I'd like.
You'd think that Palpy would have decided no bottomless holes in his throne room after the last time that exact thing bit him in the ass.
Yeah.
But anyway, Palpy's dead, and Ben claws his way out of the pit, and he starts giving his life energy over to
Rey, and she comes back from the dead,
and then they kiss,
and then he dies, and I leaned over and whispered, like, do they just do this back and forth the rest of the day? Like, and then she brings him back and dies, and then he brings her back.
No, but this time he like starts disappearing like a Force ghost.
Yeah.
To which I'm like, I don't know about that.
It's meant to be like he died as a Jedi, you know. Even though when Vader died as a Jedi, he didn't do that. Yeah, what's up with that?
I mean, he did come back as a Force ghost as seen at the end of the film,
yeah.
so, you know, whatever. I'm okay with it. But for some reason, it's then that they flash over to Leia's body on the Resistance home planet, and then her body disappears and she turns into a Force ghost.
I can only assume this is something to do with them hanging out together in Force Heaven or whatever Force ghosts go.
Whatever. Just whatever. Anyways, and then they all just go back to...
And then they kick the crap out of 10,000 Star Destroyers, apparently.
Yeah.
Which, granted, none of them have shields. They did explain that earlier, but, like, it's a lot of Star Destroyers, you guys.
You think they get bored after, like, the first 500.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, dude, we're almost done kicking your ass. You want to surrender at some point and then just turn your ships over to us? Sure, whatever.
Hey, remember that thing where you can only navigate the hyperspace around this area if you have, like, a tower to give you a signal?
The tower to give you a signal wasn't... that wasn't for hyperspace. That was them rising out of the atmosphere.
Okay, the only way you can get out of the atmosphere is you have a tower to give you a signal?
Yeah.
How did we get in?
That was for the super huge ships.
Only two? Okay, fine.
Yeah. Which makes sense as long as you don't remember Rogue One, where a Star Destroyer was hovering in atmosphere. Exactly like these things are doing.
Wait, okay, they are hovering in atmosphere, though, so that part's established.
And then flies out on its own.
Right, but this thing has got crazy force atmosphere or something.
You know what? Fine, I can accept
that
this is a super evil force charged planet that's screwy on stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways,
at least none of those questions there are as weird as the Holdo maneuver from last movie.
Which they openly said, why don't we just do the pull Holdo maneuver?
And they said that was a 1 in a million shot. Like, okay, thank you for, again, reversing something from the previous film. Because if you could do that reliably, all Star Destroyer tactics are completely out of the water now. Just program a empty ship to Holdo maneuver everybody you hate.
Yeah, my personal headcanon for the Holdo maneuver is that Holdo was a latent force sensitive who specialized in machines, and was able to disable the safeties that prevented them from doing that.
Well, not only disable the safeties, but I hope, maneuver the ship properly. Split-second timing of something.
Yeah, something like that.
Because if you were half a second off, it would have not worked at all, type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a cool visual, but anyways.
Yeah, it was a bad movie, so it's like, no, you didn't earn that one. We didn't like Holdos. You made no sense. Yeah. Everyone here made more sense.
Anyways, moving on to the next scene. They're all back on the Resistance base, and
C-3PO gets most of his memory back.
No, he got that back before.
Oh, whatever. He got most of his memory back, by the way.
Everyone's happy, everyone's hugging, everyone's crying. Chewbacca finally gets the fucking medal!
I know, right?
That's what this movie should have been called. Not Rise of Skywalker, it's Chewbacca gets his medal.
Because for those of you who don't know, people have been bringing this up for years and years. Decades, that at the end of A New Hope, there's a medal ceremony and Chewbacca doesn't get anything. And they tried excusing that by he had this Wookiee culture thing that made him not accept medals. And he just gets a medal this time. There.
And even better, Masameda's like, Leia wanted you to have this.
Yeah, because Leia was the one giving out the medals physically in the scene. See, that's fan pandering that, works. As opposed to Ep 7, which everything was like, look, we're on not Tatooine with the not R2-D2 and the not Death Star plans, and here's the not Death Star, and here's the actual Millennium Falcon, and here's the, everything was just I've seen all of this. Why?
Okay.
This is little hints.
The last one was a bit heavy-handed in the fan pandering, but at the same time, I can't help but absolutely love the last scene. Okay, Rey shows up on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And she goes to Luke's old home where he started the entire saga.
Yeah.
And she has with him Luke and Leia's lightsabers, and she explores the house, and she sees the table where Luke had the blue milk, where he was like, oh, I want to join the Imperial Academy next year, and Owen and Beru were like, maybe next year, Luke, there's a lot of farming to do this year, and just, she stands in the same spot where Luke looked over the edge of the pit and talked to Beru, but the pit's all filled with sand now, just because no one's lived here for 30 years or so. And she buries the lightsabers with the Force.
Yeah, and there's random passerby.
Yeah, why was that passerby here? This is the middle of frickin' nowhere.
I can only assume it's between two other points that are not the middle of nowhere.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And she sees the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia, and they're happy and waving at her, and she declares that she's a Skywalker. Damn it!
Yeah.
Which I'm not necessarily okay with because it's continuing the whole idea that the Skywalker bloodline is just super special, awesome.
But she's not in the bloodline, so now it becomes a spiritual successor thing.
Okay,
so you're breaking out of genealogy and going into just self-identification.
Okay, yeah, but
so that was really cool. It was a really cool
So the movie has its problems,
yep.
But God, it felt even just the atmosphere just felt leagues better than what original
the other 7 and 8, yeah.
7 and 8 had.
I mean, we were in an almost empty theater, and we thought, oh, we should have seen this the day it came out with a big crowd. That would have been great. But based on 7 and 8, we assumed this one would also be crap.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the whole thing is, past performance does not indicate future results, but let's be fair here, it was pretty consistently shit in the other two films. People made random, stupid-ass decisions that made no sense in or out of universe unless you made this whole journey to try to explain it, which, trust me, I did.
Yeah.
Or you had people going around doing things just because, this is what the other films did, or killing beloved characters because, fuck it, why not? No, Hans Seth was wasted.
Yeah, at least they brought it up again in this movie, and Ben was like haunted by his dad's dad that he killed him, and some stuff like that.
And at least they gave Snoke something. He was a puppet of Palpatine, the true big bad of all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And okay, bringing back Palpatine, that was obviously pandering to the fans to say, oh, okay, we get it, we hear you.
But they made him so much cooler than Snoke ever was.
Yeah, he was in one film. How he survived is barely explained, and he still did better than Snoke.
Yeah. Like, he takes the same... he's the villain of the story, the guy in charge, but he comes across way creepier, not just from nostalgia. It's from the dialogue, it's from the lighting, it's from the not wearing a golden bathrobe. I think that was an excellent choice. Because if he had been wearing a damn golden bathrobe in Episode 9, everyone would have hated him. Like, who decided this costume change in Episode 8? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But they've been fired.
But he was like, I am the voice in your head, and manipulates it until it's Snoke's voice and Vader's voice. So it's implying... He was
surrounded by all this creep. Like, remember Snoke's throne room was like, okay, it's a room with, like, walls and stuff. But this was, like, the epitome of evil, lightning, flashing, cool architecture, evil chorus, whoever the hell those people were.
Oh, and then there's, like, these minions who are just, like, cybernetic or old, ghastly monsters who are just... like working on what looks like arcane technology filled with cloned body parts, and they just look at Kylo and then they're just like, whatever. Just like this guy is the dragon for the last 2 films, and they are so far beneath the menial laborers in this place that they don't even give a shit.
Yeah. It was.
Just establishing the whole place just did such an amazing job.
Yeah, it was cool. They should have done this good in the first place. But all right, you finally picked it up. I hear the Mandalorian's good too. We're gonna eventually have to see that.
We're eventually going to once we pirate it from.
We'll just get Disney Plus for a week. It's only like one show, right?
Okay.
Watch it during the free period, free trial period.
Yeah. So we've been talking for almost 2 hours.
Almost the length of the movie.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks for listening, whoever's out there.
Yes.
Leave us a comment.
Like us, subscribe, hit the bell, and leave us a comment. That increases the amount of times we get mentioned in the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, and so we're told.
Yep. So
honestly,
comment, and subscribe. We love to hear from you. We love to hear what you think. Do you agree with our opinions on The Rise of Skywalker? Do you agree with our opinions on other things? Do you think that I should shut the hell up now?
Do you think someone should make a fanfic of Avatar Yang? Which I was totally ranting about.
We are not doing
before we saw the movie.
No, we are not doing Avatar Yang,
it's just
aka
such a good pun.
Yang Xiaolong as the Avatar. We are not doing that. That is silly.
And then you can make her a Super Saiyan.
No.
Okay,
no,
fine.
we're done.
Okay, fine.
Okay. I will force choke you. I will fight you using the Force in such a way that makes it confusing as to whether or not you're in one location or another, and occasionally take items from you, but somehow not being in the same place, even though that power was not previously established.
Ooh, spooky.
I might be making fun of something, but I can't think of what.
No.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, if we're done,
Yep.
I'm Sith King.
I'm Sonicson.
Signing off.